How did you enjoy your theme song?
That was a great song. I'm surprised that you have the music rights to use it. One of the many things that you don't acknowledge that I've done was deal with music rights.
Is that what you did on the show? I asked you for years. Did you did stuff with music rights?
You do realize that while it's a great song and it's great for this operation, I don't know what we're calling this, radio show, it's limiting the distribution of said show. You're going to want to distribute the show in certain ways, but you've got that Rush theme song.
Wait a minute. Does this limit it in any way, Mr. Gruce?
No, we're good.
We're good.
Don't know
no,
what
this
your
is
future,
serious. This is serious radio.
You have to leave your options open for
not
future.
Listen, Jordan, not with this show. I don't. Okay, let me promise you. There's no way anyone's going to say, "How do I get this on vinyl?" I must have a reproduction. They're not. They don't know. They're not going to want this. It's going to live on Sirius Radio where we're allowed to play any Rush song you want. What are the other ones you like?
Oh, well, Rush has many different periods.
What's the one that I used to sort of try and sing?
Limelight. That
and
was
how does
track
it go?
4.
Yeah.
Living on a lighted stage approaches the
Living
aerial.
on a lighted stage approaches the my eyes are like how to see my name, Was that is that a Getty Lee, do you think?
That is not what I expected this show to be. You singing in a falsetto tone was not how I
that was
anticipated
an accurate
this
Getty
proceeding.
That was an accurate Getty Lee.
It was not inaccurate.
That means it was accurate.
In a roundabout way. I argue that there is, once
Living
again, a
on the lighted stage. Isn't it something like that, right?
That's his general register.
Yeah. How pleasing to the ear. Look, for you Rush fans out there, no offense, but Jordan, I'm glad you're a big fan of theirs. And through my fame, you actually got to know the band a little bit, didn't you?
I did. Yes, I did.
So maybe a thank you?
Yeah, thank you. I've been able to benefit in certain ways from your own celebrity, which I feel is deserved. Because you have to remember that your celebrity is a product of the work of the many people that are here in this very room and beyond.
I don't see it that way.
We have worked.
I do not see it that way.
While the finances don't necessarily reflect that, the truth of the matter is this is not a one-man operation. This was a group effort.
Well, first of all, I'm not saying it was a one-man operation. I'm just saying that once a millennia, a figure comes along, a Mozart, a Socrates, and they...
Socrates, yeah.
What'd you say?
Socrates in the original ancient Greek pronunciation.
What are you fucking talking about? No one knows how the ancient Greeks pronounce that.
I know how it's pronounced. And now everyone listening knows how it's pronounced.
Socrates?
Socrates.
Wait a minute. How do you know how the ancient Greeks spoke?
Ancient Greek influenced other languages. We can trace the lineage back by studying other ancient languages. Socrates, Aristotle.
I don't think you're right about any of this. First of all, congratulations on inventing a time machine. May I see it? Can I get inside your time machine?
You understand there are people that study the past. You don't need to travel back
to
the
past.
But we
don't know how they pronounce. We don't know how they pronounce Socrates.
You don't know how they pronounce Socrates. I know how they pronounce Socrates.
You don't know how they pronounce Socrates.
I just said how they pronounce Socrates.
No, that's not true. No one can possibly know how they pronounced it. There's no phonographic evidence.
A photograph doesn't represent how something is pronounced anyway. I'm telling you, there are people...
That was a little trick to see if you were paying attention. I mean, when I say phono, I'm talking about the audio.
There are
not
linguists.
Photo.
Linguist comes from the Latin lingua, which means the tongue. Also in Italian.
Hey, can I tell you something?
Or in Spanish,
I know where
lengua.
you're taking this. I know where you're taking this, which is oral sex, and I think it's disgusting. And no one wants to hear you go on and on about tongues and linguist and, going down and all that kind of... It's garbage. It's just garbage. That's not the way anyone should be pleasured. It's disgusting. It's not described in the Old Testament, and I won't have it. So...
Socrates.
Sorry.
What was that?
I played Google's pronunciation of Socrates.
Thank you, Eduardo. When it said Socrates.
That was an incorrect pronunciation.
Wait, you're arguing with Google now?
I'm not arguing with...
Google is...
I'm not arguing because I know my position. My position is it's Socrates, And that's as far as I'll go with it.
But can I ask you something?
Your interpretation does not change reality.
You don't have a PhD in shit.
Doctorate comes from the Latin docere, or in the ecclesiastical pronunciation, docere, which means to teach, which in fact is what we're doing here. We are teaching.
You just say shit.
No.
And you say it with great authority, and then we're all supposed to say, yeah, I guess so.
I don't need you to say anything.
But then
Just
I look
listen.
into your past, and I realize you're some schmo. You're just some guy. You're just a guy. You're just a guy.
I don't disagree.
And then you say,
I'm a guy who knows how you say docere and docere and Socrates and Aristoteles.
How do you say spaghetti?
Spaghetti. It means little strings. There's spago, which means a string. There's spaghetto, which is a little string. And then there's the plural, spaghetti.
Can I just point out to people, this is our first episode, but to people listening to the Conan and Jordan show, when I'm not speaking and Jordan is, just know that I'm holding my head. My head is down and I'm holding it, and I'm sad, and that's just something for you to know as you're driving along listening to this. Well, Jordan, I have to say, you and I in the past people watch these on YouTube all the time and on our various sites. They watch the adventures we've had, where you shoot off your mouth about your expertise on, say, where the Karate Kid sequel was shot, and then I prove you to be wrong. And you've been proven wrong about several things. Some of the things have been, maybe in Italy, you were incorrect about certain word usages.
Oh, is that true?
Yeah, you were. You actually lectured me about how I wanted to have a red wine with my pizza. Mm-hmm. Remember that? And you said no one has red wine with their pizza. You're supposed to have a beer. And then I asked the waiter who served me in Naples, what do you have with your pizza? Right. And he said wine. Yeah. And I saw a little part of you die.
Yeah. No one is a euphemism. I did not mean no human being in Italy would ever drink red wine with pizza. I just meant it's generally consumed.
Well, what a
with
coincidence
beer.
that the one guy who did happened to be a waiter at the pizza restaurant.
He worked in the food industry. Of course, he may have different habits than the average diner.
I'm
not responsible for his preferences.
He's an expert
I'm only
in
stating
serving
a fact
pizza.
as I have observed such fact. I'm not an expert on this particular waiter's eating preferences.
I'm chewing my mic cord right now.
Go on. What else was I incorrect about? You've got a list.
No, I don't have a list of what
you're looking at a piece of paper, tapping it. You're looking down when you come up with a new subject. Go ahead. What's next on the list?
You are Nixon in 74. You are cornered. You know it's over. You're sweating. And you're babbling on television. I resign today, effective immediately. Don't hate your enemies. When you hate them, they win. I do not.
I don't know the
there
serious
is not a
demographic,
list.
but I do know this. They are not familiar with the voice of Richard Nixon.
Okay. Well, that's, I think, condescending, because I always assume that...
I am not even familiar with the voice of Richard Nixon. I'm a 50-year-old man.
Oh, so you don't know about a president of the United States...
I know there was a president named Richard Nixon
who lived pretty much in your lifetime.
Yeah.
Okay. You don't know anything about that guy.
I know
but
things about him.
You know that Socrates' name 2,000, 3,000 years ago was Socrates, and that's how people pronounced it.
That has relevance today. Go ahead. Do some more impressions of historical figures from the middle of the century. What did Eisenhower sound like?
Today, December 7th, 1941. A day that will live in infamy. Who was that?
Truman?
That's Franklin Roosevelt, you son of a bitch. You know, unbelievable. So you know Socrates, but you don't know about who was president when Pearl Harbor was attacked.
You have a particular interest in presidential history. Let's not pretend that your average listener shares that interest with you.
You're right. I should assume that they all share your interest, which is that Socrates... all of us have been saying it wrong all these times.
I'm not going to stand by as you mispronounce the names of incredible figures from ancient history.
Hey, Jordan, how annoying was it for Socrates? He was probably walking around and people were like, hey, Socrates, I got a question. He was like, it's Socrates. Oh, take it easy, Socrates. I said it's Socrates. Man, you are one uptight philosopher. How do you say Plato? Please say it.
Plato.
Oh, you fucking son of a bitch. So, okay, all right, okay. So Goofy's dog is named Plato?
I'm not familiar with Goofy's dog. That's not my specialty. I have a cursory knowledge of Disney. I didn't know. Like, Goofy is a dog?
I know.
He had another dog?
You know what's sick? A dog has a dog for a pet. Don't you think that's disgusting? I think it's one of the sickest things about Disney. What dog keeps another dog as a pet? That's wrong. You know what? I think it's terrible, and you know who would agree with me? Socrates and Plato.
They never figured out why Goofy was able to speak.
Excuse
Pluto
me,
wasn't.
it's Goffy. Oh man, torpedo amidships. The explosion could be seen for miles. I hit you right where the torpedoes are stored. Oh my God.